Hey there guys, how's it going? So we have a really weird time in the game right now. We have an avatar board which for the first time since like ages and ages ago with ones like these, Aerith, Sid and Yuffie, we have an avatar board which has a medal inside it, and that medal itself has a weird story behind it as well. So if we go ahead and have a look at the medal itself, like we talked about the other day, we said that Jack and Zero Prime probably isn't coming out in the English version because again, from my layman's understanding, the global version of Square Enix North America can't release a medal featuring this copyrighted imagery anymore. Whatever the rights they had worked out for, obviously, you know, Kingdom Hearts 2, or Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, I suppose, and Chain of Memories, for whatever reason that doesn't fly anymore. So they can't profit off, and just the global version as well, mind you, can't profit off that particular imagery anymore. So then when the JP version released this medal, it was like, well, that's really strange because they won't be able to release it in the global version, and therefore they'll be missing out on profiting off, you know, of all the potential sales of that medal in the global version. So their solution to that was just call it, okay, we'll just call it Halloween Sora instead. And even though Sora is appearing in his Halloween, you know, Sora, the original character, is appearing in his Halloween Town outfit, I guess that skirts around that issue, and it's just, okay, fine. Yeah, okay, sure, whatever. So what does this medal actually do? Well, it is a really strange one. At 6 stars it gives you a 100% boost to your guild, at 7 stars it gives you a 120% boost, which is currently the highest in the game right now, tied only with Era EX+. If you're pulling it just because it has the highest guild boost in the game and you missed out on Era, that's probably not the best idea because that guild boost will be replaced before too long with, you know, I expect there'll be more 10% medals coming out, 120s, 130s, 140s, and I mean, I don't want to say by the end of the year there'll be 150s, but this is, you know, this is Union Cross. Power creep is an insane, reliable, real thing in this game, so yeah, I don't think it's by the end of the year I wouldn't be surprised to see 150. In terms of its multiplier, it's a funny case because as an all targets medal, at its base 6-star version with that 4.86, hopefully you guys can see there, that 4.86 is one of the highest, like, if you were to look on your medal's actual stat screen, right, as a 6-star medal, if it was fully guilted out, that's the number you would see on that screen. Hopefully that's always been clear to you guys, that that's the number you see on your screen, and then the number underneath that, 12.15, is what that actually means. And I might as well explain the rest. At 10.02 is what you would see. When you pull the 7-star version, that's what you would see. It's 10.02, but what that actually translates to with a 150% guild boost is 25.05. That number is actually one of the highest in the game. That 10.02 is a very, very high number for an all-target medal. The only problem is, again, it comes off the 150% guild boost, meaning it doesn't actually end up being relatively speaking, quite that strong. Again, we can pull out our little graph here and have a quick look through, but if we go ahead and scoot that out, hide my face. In terms of tier 5 medals, that's Halloween Sora right up there. Definitely one of the strongest in the game. Pull that up there. But in terms of all target medals, unfortunately, again, only because of that guild boost, 150%, it falls very much short. Like, you know, 358 over 2 days, Riku is sitting there in the tier 7s, significantly stronger than it. Yuno, Riku, and Pain, which are just upright magic medals, so if you consider that every pull we do, probably going forward from now on, will have a guaranteed tier 6 or 7 medal inside it, I wouldn't be too surprised to start seeing, you know, especially Yuno, Riku, and Pain, that thing seems to be everywhere. I would be surprised if you don't get a ton of copies of that. So the only reason I brought up its like naturally high 7-star multiplier as an all-target medal is because, like, let's do a thought experiment. Even though it can't abuse that multiplier itself because of its only, you know, it's only tier 5 and only gets 150% guild, copycat medals can. So as a thought experiment, let's say we have a 7-star HD Naminé on, like, Fairy Stars, for example, copying forward in slot 3 onto slot 4, being the brand new Sephiroth medal that we have. And we're in an all-target scenario, like we're in Colosseum or a raid boss, for example. We're trying to beat, you know, 3 or 4 opponents at once. So we have a 7-star HD Naminé copying onto a Sephiroth, or we have Halloween Sora being copied backwards by a Riku replica, and everything's at 7 stars, and there's no traits, just for the sake of evenness, right? This setup here is actually going to deal more damage, believe it or not, because again, you're copying backwards with a really high multiplier, and it's really just that simple. This thing has a higher multiplier, so it's going to deal more damage. Of course, that's a pretty niche case, and I wouldn't expect anyone to pull based on that, but just a fun little thought experiment. Now, the one interesting factor that this thing does have going for it is the fact that all of its hits are going to be super effective, and what that means is that if you're versing, let's say, 3 enemies at once, one's power, one's speed, and one's magic, it will always deal super effective damage against all 3. To this enemy, it will deal the magic damage, to this enemy, it will do speed damage, to this, it will do power, whatever, I probably mix those up, but Point is, it's going to always hit super effectively, which gives it a little bit of a damage boost. Now, that factor is great in every PvE situation, awful in PvP. Awful in PvP. Again, if you guys aren't aware, effectively it'll hit a PvP opponent for super effective damage. But the only problem... Okay, let's use some metaphor. If speed is grass, power is fire, water is magic, let's say, to give a Pokemon analogy or something, we can boost our grass, fire, and water abilities, but this metal in PvP will always hit thunder damage or something like that. I don't know. Which we can't boost, unfortunately. So, as great as that sounds on paper, and again, you wouldn't use this thing in PvP anyway because it's a non-target metal, but just if you were looking to improve your PvP setup, this is not the metal to do that with, unfortunately. What do I think about it? I mean, in terms of actually acquiring this metal, we can either go the route of picking it up from an avatar board, which is just bizarre to me. So effectively you get 3 copies at 6 stars, 1 copy at 7 stars, and an AB6 max. Okay, and that's 8,000 joules. Okay. Or you can get it the traditional way, which is pulling up to 5 times for up to 15,000 joules, and you get 1 copy at 7 stars, 5 copies at 6 stars, and also 5 medals at either tier 6 or tier 7, which will, at the very worst, improve your sub slots. At the very best, potentially be something that can, you know, potentially improve your game. Weird. So you've got either spend 8,000 joules and get, you know, you're guaranteed 1 copy with 3 traits on it, or spend 15,000 and get 1 copy with 5 traits on it and plus all the extras. Wow, it's just so weird. It's just so freaking weird. If you skip this, I don't think you'd suffer any repercussions whatsoever. I'm kind of thinking of it as like, if I could get it, I might slap a Lux boost skill on it, and here's the thing, like I'm thinking it'd be great to get this thing with raid traits on it, but of course you can't plan that ahead of time because, well, it's not going to happen. If you want like raid traits, for example, you're not going to get them. It's just the way of the world. It's just not going to happen. So, and this is definitely not the thing to chase. There are some medals that I guess, you know, people would potentially want to chase, but this is definitely not one of them. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's worth pulling, in my opinion. It's kind of interesting and kind of cool, and I do feel like there's going to be a high score challenge based around it, because they could have just skipped it, right? They could have just skipped it and been like, whatever, we're not going to release it in the global version. But they did, right? So that makes me think that maybe there'll be a high score challenge rolling around. Halloween themed high score challenge, but what would be the prize? Because you can't have a Halloween themed reward, can you? I don't know if the rights work like that. Like, can you have incentivize people to pull, even if they aren't getting a Halloween Town medal directly, but because they're getting a... But are you encouraging people to pull to get that as a reward? I don't know how this thing works. Yeah, long story short, I mean, 8,000 joules is not too bad. If I was going to do it at all, I'd probably do it like that. Like, of course, it's probably better value to do the 15,000 joule pull, but it's like, every single pull we do from this point onwards is probably going to have those tier 6s or tier 7s locked away into it, so you're not missing out too much by not... I don't know. This is up to you guys. I don't think it's worth pulling or buying, period, but if you were going to, I'd probably get the avatar board. Ooh, that's a tough one. It's tough. In any case, Luxord is coming out in a few short hours in JP. I think it's coming out in about 3.5 hours in JP, so I'll definitely... Don't do anything until you see that. Don't do anything at all. For all we know, that could be a very cool medal, or it could be garbage. We don't know. That's the fun thing about Organization 13 medals. We just don't know. So, don't do anything until you see that. Hopefully, I'll cover that as soon as I possibly can. I do have a wedding tomorrow at exactly the time that medal usually comes out, so unfortunately, I won't be able to do something straight away, but JP just to get a story update, which for the first time in ages added relevant story content into the game, which I am so excited to get into. One thing first I've got to do, and then I can get into that full steam ahead. So I'm really keen to get into that, guys. I'm going to finish off the video with a couple of silver ticket pulls and my gold ticket pull, just so I can do them on camera. Not too bad. But it's tier 8, huh? Oh, yuck. What is this garbage? Seriously? That's what we like to see. Not a single tier 4 in the bunch. That's a lot better. Thank you. Thank you very much. And right back to crap again. God damn it. And okay, one more tier 8. Okay. Alrighty, and I want to collect these jewels on camera. We've had an amazing month of free jewels, so I'm definitely wanting to collect all these. I still am weird about this now, where I don't want to collect them off camera. Like if I have a big bunch together, because people might be like, well, he had this many jewels the last video, now he has this many jewels, so did he go and buy them? And I was like, no, definitely not. But yeah, at least now I have a record. So a whole month worth of jewels. So I'm nearly about to expire. Here we go. And my total has been risen to 70,000. Holy shit. And I've still got 10k from the 350 plus the 400. Excellent. Alright, I'm going to keep hanging on to these for a little bit longer. I'll see you guys really soon. All the best. Catch you later. Bye.